So we are about ready for our panel, so I'll invite up Mark Evans and Mary Cooper, who are both volunteer shoreline stewards with the Muskegon Lake Watershed Partnership. And also our speakers can come up here so we can do some question and answer. And one of the things that I'd like to just let you know is we listen as much as, we answer your questions. So if you have ideas, input, suggestions, please feel free. I'll be taking notes. And, one of the things we want for this panel to focus on is, and for you, as part of this kind of interactive discussion, is really how can we work together better as a community and collaborate better together to maintain and sustain shorelines, whether they've been restored or whether they're already natural or need restoration. We've heard from people who specialize with working with local governments, with educators, with volunteers, with shoreline landowners, whether they're public landowners or private landowners, and it just takes all of us together to make something happen. So with that, I think I'm going to turn this over to both Mary and Mark to talk a little bit about their experiences as being a shoreline steward, kind of a volunteer who actually has engaged some of these kinds of groups and people to do hands-on restoration. So we'll start with Mark. After that, we'll open it up for Q&A after Mark and Mary.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming. I started being a shoreline steward in 1990. I didn't know that's what I was doing at the time, but a friend and I worked at the paper mill, and we went over to fish at the Grand Trunk site next to the mill. And between all the washing machines and carpets and car parts, we decided that it wasn't very user-friendly. So we decided to get a little group of our union friends together, and we went over, and a dozen of us picked up a couple thousand pounds of trash and piled it up by the railroad tracks and thought we did a good job, and got a call from the city a couple days later saying, "Did you put a bunch of garbage by the road?" And I did. But we learned by that we have to partner with the city. So we started partnering with the city. We started partnering with the Bunker School just up the road. And so we went from a dozen people, a couple years later, we had 100 people. And so we made it an annual event. We eventually got caught up on the historic garbage, and we were able to start doing other things like putting in birdhouses, and we got a grant, put a picnic shelter up, and now we're at the stage where very little of our time is spent doing actual cleanup of garbage and that sort of thing. We're putting in native plants, taking out invasive species, and doing a lot more education with the kids now than we were able to do in the past, because we have more time to do that. And we certainly have a beautiful shoreline down there. We went kind of from the dump site to a beautiful little park down there. And the same kids that used to maybe go down there and throw their garbage down are now down there telling people not to throw their garbage down, because they just came down there and they cleaned that place up, and they realized the value of that piece of land right there in their own neighborhood that they can walk down to. And so it's nice to have that right in a big neighborhood like that, a nice little piece of nature for those people to go down to. And so we've made an annual event, and this year we're going to be celebrating our 30th year down there. So we're going to kind of have a little celebration and try to invite a lot of the people who've been involved over the years, and some of those 12-year-old students will now be 45-year-old adults, and it'll be interesting to get a bunch of those folks back and celebrate the difference that we made at the site over the years.
Thanks, Mark. So cleaning up a site is awesome, but there's a thing that has to happen after you clean it up, and that's maintaining it. Excuse me. So what I do is I sort of manage my little area of the Muskegon Lake shoreline that's been restored. I've sort of adopted a section of the Lakeshore Trail bike path. It's a place where I walk several times a week, when it's not flooded. And even when it is flooded, I'll still walk down there. In the summertime, I'll just take my shoes off and walk right through the flooded area. But it's something that I feel connected to. It's right in my neighborhood, and I take groups down several times a year if they'll come. Sometimes it's just me, and that's kind of the thing too, is that to maintain this shoreline and all these improvements that have happened, you don't need an army. An army would be great, but even one person can make a difference. I'll go down there with my rake and my shovel and my plastic bags, and I'll pick up garbage, even just by myself. Sometimes I'll ask my neighbor to come with me, or my brothers will go with me, or sometimes on a coordinated cleanup day, I'll get 10 people. And you can really, really be impactful and really make a difference. It's really a sense of pride that you get when you walk into a site, you see how dirty it is, and you clean it up, and you look back on it and go like, wow, I did that. I can own that. Right now with the higher water levels, it's been very interesting for my little piece of the world. It's made it easier in some ways and a lot more challenging in others, but it's still my little piece of the world. And when you get involved, it's something that you are going to own for a while. I sure hope that someone will step into my soggy boots sometime in the next few years and take over my little piece of the world and make it their own. And I think that's kind of what being a shoreline steward is all about. Taking ownership, seeing things happen, and even finding people to help you make it happen, and hopefully being able to pass that baton.
Thank you, Mary. Can you hear me okay? Whether or not my mic is working, I don't know, but I know that it made a funny squeak, so I don't want to do that again. We can open it up for questions now or input from the audience, and I'll try to call on people and maybe direct it to who I think might be the first best person to answer your question, and then you feel free to share and, chime in as you see fit. Yes.
Thank you. I really was educated today. I'm a trustee for a lake up in Walkerville and school section lake, and we have a lake association, and I want to get information, even though it still pertains. So thank you for having lots to tell. But my questions are, as far as because our water is so high, we are putting in any plants near the shoreline right now, probably not going to be any good because we're up to the bottom of our hill with water. So waiting, I'm assuming, until it recedes. And what is best in the lakes to plant? This is all private pretty much. So recommendations, and also with not with Grand Valley, but with the Intermediate School District. I wasn't aware of any of those programs, and I think I'm not saying that they should have a PR. They should tell people what they're doing because I don't have a child in school anymore, so I'm not aware. And I think when people pay their taxes, they're always complaining about paying in school, but these are good programs that should have either be linked on your website or out in the newspaper, or because I think more people would be, oh, okay, now I know what they're looking at, what they're doing.
All right, well, maybe Julia can take the first question, and if Erica wants to add to it, or Melanie to the rest.
Sounds good. Regarding what to plant, you're talking about high water levels. Well, one of the things to think about is that when you look at a lake naturally with no development, there's different tiers of vegetation. There's the aquatic plants, there's the shrub layer, then there's the overstory, and then there's ground cover. And naturally, lakes change levels over time anyway, so vegetation is going to change. So thinking about what you want to plant there now with the high water levels is you're going to want to choose plants that like to get their feet wet and have their feet wet consistently. More than likely, you're going to be looking at some wetland plants and or some shrubs, in particular some shrubs, because as the high water level comes up, it's changing that shoreline slope also. So you're going to want something stronger. In terms of what to plant, one is look around if there are any natural areas around your lake and kind of see what's there and what's naturally there. The other thing is on the Michigan Natural Shoreline Partnerships website, we have different plant lists. It's organized by 4 different sections of where the plants and shrubs would be most successful by where they are and by where they would, like in the water or below the high water mark, and your feet are still wet in the upland and dry areas. and you can click on each of the scientific names and you can get a picture of them as well. And the plants are, every one of the plants that is listed on there is available through some Michigan native plant grower in Michigan. Brian, do you want to add anything else?
There was a question about linking to websites, and I know that the new website will be unveiling when it's final, will include links to the Great Lakes Stewardship Initiative and some other resources. Did you have something?
I'll go really quick and then I'll give it to you. If that's okay, Erica. It's so hard. Teachers just don't have time to honestly promote a lot of what they do. Just getting all the pieces and the logistics together, I think, is challenging for them. And I'm just grateful that they do it. I will say this past year, our Shoreline Tech did work with their construction group, their teacher, the construction teacher, and they built 30 boot brushes for us and a waiter station that helped, and then they put it into, I can't remember how many parks, I think it was 13 different properties, and they actually, the natural resource students, installed them. So what we did, I was so excited because I didn't have a budget for this, I had no money, and we did not have time within our department to actually build it with our staff. So to be able to do that, we were just thrilled. So they do have a PR community outreach person at least in our intermediate school district. So we did work with them to do press releases, and both of our departments just gave kudos to those students because, again, construction students got a chance to actually do something that they could put into the community that they'll be able to share with when they grow up, because hopefully those last a long time. And then also the natural resource students learned about early detection, rapid response, and how to prevent invasives from going in. So that was on the news. But you're right, we don't talk enough about all the great projects they do.